Well, welcome along, everybody, for the final time this weekend to Circuit Zolder here in Belgium. What we've got coming up for you is round 10, the last race of the regular season for the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, EuroNASCAR Pro Division. It's wonderful to be back here at what you could argue is our historical home for Belgian NASCAR racing. It is now 2015 was our first visit to this circuit. It's largely always held the championship finals, but it's great to be back here this year, and even more so because when we visited in 2020, the crowds were not allowed in. So it's wonderful that we are bathed in sunshine in this part of Belgium over the course of this weekend, and the crowds, young and old, have flocked here in their thousands to show their support and their love for NASCAR racing. Zolder has always been somewhat in the shadow of its more illustrious counterparts at Spa-Francorchamps, but nevertheless, Belgium's first purpose-built racing circuit has plenty of history itself. Always a bustling national venue, the circuit's had its fair share of international limelight, proving a useful backstop for Formula One while Spa was renovated and after the Nivelles-Boulay circuit faded away. This particular corner of the Limburg area of Belgium, racing has been going on since the 1950s. The Zolder Motor Club had been organising events around the town square for a number of years when it decided to seek out something more permanent and certainly less dangerous as well. So a wooded area on the outskirts of town, close to the canal, appeared ideal, as it already had a number of rows which could be joined to form a circuit. The original 1.56 mile or 2.6 kilometre track was fairly primitive, although it was a considerable step up from the street racing that existed before. Seeking the best advice on circuit design, they turned to John Hugenholz Sr., who had experience of circuit management at Zolder and was already, actually at that time, working on the design of the Suzuka circuit in Japan. Hugenholz penned a new extension to the course and suggested some other improvements around the lap as well to ensure it met the latest safety standards. Construction of that new extension started in '62. The new course was ready for action in 1963, and the circuit soon became established on the national racing scene, hosting a mixture of two- and four-wheeled competition. Formula 2 races, the highlights in the early days, the like of Denny Hulme winning from Belgian driver Lucien Bianchi in 1964, while Sir Jack Brabham took the spoils in 1966. Other notable winners, the likes of John Surtees and Jochen Rindt as well. Into the 1970s, we saw Formula 5000 pay their first visit. Into the 1970s, mid-70s, we saw Formula 1 here for the first time. 1973 was its first visit, and its last visit was in 1984. But as I say, it's been the home of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, the Belgian NASCAR Grand Prix, since our first visit here in 2015. The first ever visit to Belgium for European NASCAR was at Spa-Francorchamps. That was way back in 2012. But since 2015, this has absolutely been the home. And you can see why, because we are always supported with thousands and thousands and thousands of fans, and it's great to see so many of them taking the opportunity, and in particular the VIPs, to do the grid walk on the build-up to our final race of the weekend, the EuroNASCAR Pro Division, round 10 of the championship, before we head to Autodromo Vallelunga for the double points paying playoffs finals weekend. Remember, all the way throughout the course of the gap in between this race meeting and our next one, you can stay in contact with us. Why not? EuroNASCAR.com is the place to go. You can look at us on Facebook as well, facebook.com/EuroNASCAR, or you can like the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series page. And if it's Twitter and Instagram you're after, then it's at EuroNASCAR. Stay in contact with us, and it will give you all of the up-to-date content that we are building in between now and Vallelunga. The Vallelunga races as well could all be on there. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. And remember, stay in contact with us over the winter as well, because we will be releasing exciting news about what will go on in 2022. So that's told you a little bit about the track. If it's the first time you're tuning in for the weekend, let's show you the graphic of the track, because you might not be familiar with the layout of Circuit Zolder. It's 4 kilometres, 2.5 miles. And there's various gradient in it as well. The lower part of the circuit through sort of turn 11 and down through turn number 1 and 2 and 3. But then the circuit climbs as you turn out of turn number 5, which is a cleaner chicane, over the brow there. It raises at turn number 6 and then descends in towards the Villeneuve chicane at turn number 7. We've seen some great racing here throughout the course of the years. We've seen some wonderful racing this weekend alone, and I'm sure we are not done with it as yet. It will be 18 laps that we will see the cars competing over for this 10th round of the championship that's coming up very, very shortly indeed. So that tells you a little bit about how the circuit is laid out. The fans are preparing themselves for an exciting 18-lap encounter. As for the weekend format, well, it's the same format as we always have. If you're not familiar with it, we always have some qualifying on the Saturday morning. The live stream usually is qualifying, is where we start our live streaming. We always live stream all of the racing, so 2 races to come on a Saturday, 1 for each of the divisions. EuroNASCAR Pro, the top flight, the pro drivers in there. And EuroNASCAR 2, which is for the young and the amateur drivers, if you're not familiar. And then we always live stream our races to you on Sunday as well. Our final 75-kilometre race coming up in just a few moments' time for you. So that gives you an idea about the weekend format. And again, let's just recap on the points attribution over the course of the weekend, because this is the final race this year where we are standard points now. This is the last race where there are 40 points for a race win, because we are in the last race of the regular season. Drivers will only count their best 10 out of 12 rounds, so you drop your worst 2 scores in the regular season. 40 points for a win, 35 for second, 34 for third. Those extra 4 points could be important for the driver that gains the most places, starting position to finishing position. And I would say on the grid, Gianmarco Werkeli, who starts towards the back of it with problems in yesterday's race, could be one to watch out for, because the grid for this race is based on the fastest lap times set in yesterday's race. And for the finals, when we head to Vallelunga, 80 points for the win, 70 for second, and even the extra points for climbing the most places on the grid are doubled as well. It's not 4 points for the most places gained, it is 8 points for the most places gained. So there's lots and lots and lots still to look forward to, and unbelievably close it is in the championship generally. Let's have a look at the way the points stack up after yesterday's race. We saw a great win yesterday for Stinis Longines, who returned to the championship, but it is Loris Hazemans, who is not present with us this weekend, that leads the championship going into this race, and will still lead the championship even after this race, regardless of what happens. Vittorio Garelli is still second, and Gianmarco Werkeli is still third, and the leading junior driver that we have in the field for those aged 25 and under. But Luca Lasser, as a result of his second place finish in the race yesterday, now moves from 5th in the championship to 4th and overtakes Nicola Rocca, who drops down a place. Sebastian Bleekie-Molen also now moves up to 6th position. He was 7th at the start of the weekend. Mark Goossens moves from 8th up to 7th. The big loser at the sharp end is Alon Day, who started this weekend lying 6th in the championship standings, the reigning champion. Problems for him yesterday. He came into the pit lane, got the car sorted, and went out and set a quick lap, so he starts from pole, but he's dropped from 6th in the championship to 8th in the championship standings. And another thing that's worth just picking up on as well is we had a change for the lead of the championship yesterday in the Challenger Trophy. The Challenger Trophy is for amateur drivers that take part in EuroNASCAR Pro. That is now being led by Henry Tuamala, who managed to overhaul the point score yesterday of Yevgen Sokolovsky. They're fighting for 11th and 12th place overall, but for the Challenger standings, that changed yesterday. Henry Tuamala, the Scandinavian, managed to overhaul Yevgen Sokolovsky, who had been leading it. So that is a fight that is still well worth watching out for. And we'll have to wait and see as to how things might stack up there. So the grid is beginning to be clear. There's lots of team members to try and squeeze off the grid. There'll be plenty of support for some of our local drivers out there as well. As for Belgians on the grid, Stinis Longines went to victory lane yesterday at his home NASCAR Grand Prix. That is his 3rd career win for Stinis Longines. The 2nd time he's won here at Zolder as well, because he was the winner of the race at the back end of the 2019 championship season, was Stinis Longines. He's not the only Belgian that we've got on the grid though, because for Cal Racing, Mark Goossens has swapped to Cal for this weekend. He's driving the number 56 Cal Racing car. Former multiple Belcar champion. Belcar have been on our supporting bill for this weekend. And also Simon Palat, the young teenager, 19 years of age, is Simon Palat, racing for DF1 Racing. He's competing in both EuroNASCAR 2 and EuroNASCAR Pro again this weekend. So those are the 3 Belgians on the grid. So there'll be no shortage of support from them at their home NASCAR Grand Prix. The weather this weekend has just been perfect. The weather generally throughout this region, I know even in the UK as well, it's been not a cloud in the sky. It feels almost like spring or summer. T-shirts are more than acceptable this weekend. I've seen people walking around in shorts and sandals and flip-flops and everything else as well. We have been basked in sunshine this weekend, and the NASCAR fans, regardless of which category of NASCAR they enjoy, we saw somebody there with a Joey Logano shirt on, it's just great to see fans back here at Zolder, because we miss them. We generally missed fans so much in the 2020 season. We were able to put on the show. Yes, the calendar changed significantly, but we didn't have fans in, and it's not having that interaction with the fans is what none of us like. The drivers absolutely love to be able to engage with their fans, sign some autographs, get some pictures, and post those on social media, and that's what's part of the event is. It's not just about the racing on track, it's that NASCAR family, and we're very proud to be part of the NASCAR family, the only NASCAR sanctioned series outside of North America. So we're delighted that that affiliation continues, as it has done since, what, 2013, wasn't it? So the final few team members and VIPs being ushered off the grid. We are about 3 minutes away from hearing the national anthems on the build-up to our 10th round of the championship. And once we get the national anthems out of the way, we'll probably have a quick look back at what happened yesterday. We'll probably try and chat to our pole sitter as well, but we'll do all of that once we have had our national anthems. And then, of course, we'll hear from the Grand Marshal, and then we've got to rattle through the grid then, and all in advance of what is going to be a mega, I'm sure, 18-lap race here around the 4-kilometre or 2.5 mile. I think, to be absolutely precise, it's 2.485 miles at Circuit Zolder, racing all weekends. And let's hope that when that I'm sure Zolder, certainly Belgium, will be back on that calendar. I really, really hope so. And remember, if you want to stay in touch with all of that news when it breaks about what's happening in the 2022 calendar, EuroNASCAR.com is the place to go, or Facebook.com/EuroNASCAR, or like us on Twitter or Instagram at EuroNASCAR is where you need to be. So VIPs have left the grid. The spectators now heading back towards their favoured spectating points. There is the car that went to victory lane yesterday, Stinis Longines, but he did not set the fastest lap of the race at the wheel of that number 11 car, so he will start from the outside of the front row of the grid. And we'll look to see as to whether he can make it a double win here. We've seen double wins for the pole sitter before, Alan Day. He's had a couple of double wins here in the past at Circuit Zolder. 2015, Alan Day went to victory lane in both of the races that we had. He repeated that feat in 2018 as well, where he went to victory lane in both of the races. So that would give him 4 wins at Zolder here alone. Other wins that he's had here at Zolder: 2017, he was the race winner. 2020, he was a race winner. So 6 wins at Zolder for the pole sitter, 2 wins now for Stinis Longines, who sits alongside him at Zolder alone. And the car that is third on the grid as well, the Cal Racing number 56 machine of Mark Goossens, has also claimed a win here at Zolder in the past. That was at 2017. So all of the team members ready to respect the national anthems that will be coming up very, very shortly. And that is, of course, on the build-up to our 10th round of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series here at Circuit Zolder. A season which has started in Spain at Circuit Ricardo Tormo, just outside of Valencia, brought us to Autodrome Most, just north of Prague, onto Brands Hatch, just to the east of London, Autodrome Grobnik up in the mountains in Croatia, here at Zolder, and we will conclude our championship season just outside of Rome with the NASCAR Grand Prix of Italy, the American Festival of Rome at Autodromo di Vallelunga. So remain quiet for the national anthems. There we go, the national anthem of the United States of America, followed by the national anthem of our host country for this weekend, Belgium. Fans young and old are ready to see the drivers dive into their cars very shortly. Seen plenty of the young children going home with bits of body work, and there's been used Hosier tyres that they've been all walking around with as well. So they're all taking home a little memento of what has been a great weekend of racing so far here at Circuit Zolder. So with the final race a few moments away from starting, maybe let's look back at what happened yesterday here at Circuit Zolder in EuroNASCAR Pro.
Drivers, start your engine! EuroNASCAR Pro 09, phenomenal win here at your home track. Just talk us through the race again.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back in NASCAR. It's been a year now, and here in Zolder with all the fans and sponsors and family. Everybody's here. No masks. I'm happy.
Thank you so much.
So a great win yesterday for Stinis Longines on his return to the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. He was as pleased as punch with that, and rightly so for the runner-up in the series in 2019. And the former EuroNASCAR 2 champion, of course, was Stinis Longines. That was way back in 2016. His contact with Alan Day caused a spin for the reigning champion, Alan Day, as they squeezed each other heading in towards the cleaner chicane. Alan Day would pit, would get the car back on track, and would try and set a fast lap time to try and give him pole position for today's race. That's exactly what he has done. The number 88 Monster Energy car from Cal Racing starts from pole position. So let's pick up and have a quick chat with our pole sitter, Alan Day.
I'm here with Alan Day. You had a tough race yesterday, but you are on pole position for the Sunday race. So what are your expectations?
Yeah, yesterday was pretty tough. Qualifying and race, I don't want to think about it too much. I put a focus on today's race. I know that the guys in Cal Racing team did hard work to bring the car and put it on pole, and I will do my best to bring it back to a victory lane.
All right, thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you.
There we go. So there was Alan Day. He did come through to finish off the lead lap yesterday, 17th position overall. So whilst that was disappointment, it is still 20 championship points for Alan Day. And with the difficult season that he's had, those are points that he will not be dropping out of his worst two scores, because he scored worse, 18 points in the second of the two races at Valencia, where he finished in 19th place. And he also had problems at Brands Hatch when he retired the car and finished in 19th place there. So those would be the two scores he'd be dropping out of the regular season. So those extra points from yesterday could count, really. But for Alan Day, I think he's probably already well aware that to try and secure a fourth championship is going to be a difficult one to do this season. He's already a three-times champion, won the championship in 2017, 2018 and in 2020. So he's a three-times champion. Anthony Coupen, who he raced for last year, PK Carsport, who Stinus Longines is racing for, is a 3-times champion. They've both secured the championship 3 times, but Alon Day is top of the all-time winners list. 26 career victories for Alon Day now in his EuroNASCAR Pro career. Could he add another one to it and make it 27 here? Or are we going to see Stinus Longines or maybe Mark Goossens or possibly Luca Lasserre, had a great run yesterday, return towards the winner's circle? So I think our Grand Marshal is there or thereabouts. The instruction for the drivers to start their engines is only a matter of moments away, and I'm hoping we'll get some audio today so that we can hear those infamous words, the most infamous words in motor racing. Looks as though the Grand Marshal is heading onto the grid, and we are almost ready to go on the build-up to the race. There we go, the most famous words in NASCAR. The drivers instructed to start their engines. The 1-minute board held aloft. The final team members and officials just leaving the grid, and we are moments away from our formation lap for the 10th round of the EuroNASCAR Series, the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, EuroNASCAR Pro Division. You can see the lights are on the safety car. We are about to get the rolling lap any second now underway. I think one of the teams just walking off now with the slave battery. They'll almost be the last to leave the grid. And once they are safely behind the barriers and the door is closed, our final formation lap will get underway on what has been, as I say, weather-wise, just a phenomenal weekend in Belgium. It's usually raining and miserable and cold. It couldn't be any further from that here this weekend in this part of Belgium. So Alon Day will be starting from pole position. Yesterday's race winner, Stinus Longines, will be sitting alongside. So let's guide you then through the grid for this race as they head off on their final formation lap. The number 88 Cal Racing Chevy of Alon Day sits on pole position. The PK Carsport Chevy of Stinus Longines alongside an all Chevy front row of the grid. It's an all Ford row 2 of the grid with number 56, the Cal Racing machine of Mark Goossens, lining up alongside the Speedhouse Ford, number 64 of double former champion Luca Lasserre. Row 3 of the grid, it's another Ford, Giorgio Maggi, number 18 for Hendricks, lines up alongside the DF1 Racing Chevy of the Italian, number 22 for DF1 is Nicola Rocca. And row 4 of the grid, it's another Hendricks Ford, it's number 50 Vittorio Garelli, who's got his teammate for Hendricks in his Ford, number 7 Martin Dubeck, sitting alongside. The 5th row of the grid for Solaris Motorsport, it's number 12, which is Francesco Cini. And alongside him for Academy stroke Alex Caffey Motorsport is number 5 Patrick Lamery. And row 6 of the grid, number 69, the Ford of Sebastian Bleekie-Moll, and should be alongside Pierre Combeau, but I think the number 46 Chevy is out following problems in the race earlier on. The 7th row of the grid, 89, the Chevy of Davide De Lara sits alongside the number 10 Chevy of Ulysse Delso. And row 8 of the grid, it's another Chevy, number 9, Leonardo Colavita, lines up alongside number 8, which is Dario Carzo. The 9th row of the grid is number 23. That is the Chevy of Henry Tuamala, alongside yet another Chevy, number 48, which is Yevgen Sokolovsky. The penultimate row of the grid sees number 54. This is the car I say watch out for, because he will gain positions, having got tangled in problems in the race early on yesterday. Number 54, Gianmarco Ercoli, watch out for him as he makes progress through the field from 19th on the grid, the inside of the 10th row, and alongside is number 90, which is Nicola Gavosi. And the 11th and final row of the grid, number 2, Federico Monti, now on his own because the number 44 car of Ian-Eric Varden could not be repaired after his problems in the EuroNASCAR 2 race earlier on, and it's been a weekend to forget really for Ian-Eric Varden, the Finnish driver, having had an off in the first lap of 2 races in which he's competed over the course of this weekend. So that gives you the order of the grid. In terms of the subcategories, well, the leading junior driver on the grid, so those aged 25 and under, is going to be the 3rd row of the grid, Giorgio Maggi. The number 18 Ford is the leading junior driver on the grid. and the leading challenger driver for those amateur drivers that compete in Euro NASCAR Pro. He's going to be back on the 7th row of the grid, the number 89, not only motorsport car of Davide Dallara. So that could be a car to watch out for to see as to whether he can hang on to the lead of the subcategory, because we will be getting podiums for all of those categories at the end of the race. Hopefully we'll be able to bring you them all on the stream as well. We will certainly go to victory lane and bring you some reaction from the race winner, and I'm hoping, as we have done all weekend, we can't guarantee it, but we hope to be able to bring you all of the podiums on the stream. If we can't, we apologise in advance, but we'll do our very best, rest assured. So lights are off on the safety car, the Whelen lights are extinguished, the car's picking their way through the chicane, the Jackie X chicane, for what will be hopefully the final time under a safety car. But buckle up for the final time this weekend. We are about to go green in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series 2x2 order over the grid hatchings. Alan Day in the black car, Stinus Longines in the blue car. We go green for the final time this weekend in Euro NASCAR Pro as the cars head up towards the first corner, and it is Alan Day that's just going to have his nose ahead of Stinus Longines, who is passed by the number 56 car of Mark Goosens and then runs through the gravel trap, bounces over the curves, and is going to drop his way all the way down through the order there, yesterday's race winner. But for Alan Day, it's a really good start from him, and Mark Goosens at the wheel of the 56 is up into second position. Giorgio Maggi fighting away with Luca Lasser as they go side by side for third and fourth place. Luca Lasser in the white car having the inside line for the next corner. Can he hang on to it, or has Giorgio Maggi picked up third? No, it's Maggi in third place, Luca Lasser in fourth position, but everybody's safely through the first half a lap. Luca Lasser now looking up the inside of Maggi and goes back through, back into third he goes. Stinus Longines a long way through the order. He'll be, I think, down towards the bottom of the top 10 following his gravelly moment at turn number 1, but he's still in the race. That's the main thing, yesterday's race winner. So through the break area of the Villeneuve chicane, Lasser briefly up into third, back down to fourth again already as Giorgio Maggi, the number 18 Hendricks Ford, has already managed to thread his way through and past. But I think everybody is still going, and I don't think we've even got any walking wounded at this stage. The leading two, however, have certainly broken away. Big old lock break, though, from Goosens in second place as he dives onto the brakes and tries to get the car stopped for Balderbach booked on the first lap. See the beautiful sunshine just glinting off the cars. Quite low in the sky as well this time of the year, which might give drivers a few visibility issues as the race wears on, but it looks as though after that locked break from Mark Goosens, that has just released Alan Day into quite a handsome lead at the end of the first lap of the race. So he'll be threading his way over the start-finish line and leads by over 1.8 seconds at the end of the first lap of the race. Goosens in second place, Giorgio Maggi in third place and the leading junior driver. And as for Stinus Longines, I said I thought he'd just be inside the top 10. He is. He's in 8th position at this stage and is bottled up behind the Solaris Motorsport machine in the hands of Francesco Cini. So down towards turn 4, Lucian Bianchi-Bock there will go. There is the number 22 car of Nicola Rocca. That completes the top 6 at the moment, his number 22 DF1 Racing Chevy. Trying to hunt down the Hendricks Ford number 50 of Vittorio Gorelli that lies ahead. Remember, Gorelli is the reigning EuroNASCAR 2 champion, stepped up to EuroNASCAR Pro this year and has already won a race. And there's 54. I said watch out for Urkeli off the back of the grid to make progress. Urkeli at the end of the first lap, well, he started, 19th position on the grid. There might have been a car missing ahead of him, but let's say 19th still. End of the first lap, where was Urkeli? 13th position. So the number 54 Cal Racing machine in the hands of the Italian is making great progress, and that is exactly what Urkeli needs to do, because of course he lies third in the overall championship and is the leading junior driver we've got in the field, and he's looking to try and thread his way past Sebastian Bleekie-Molen, I think it is. So there goes Bleekie-Molen, there heads Gianmarco Urkeli. Up towards the braking area at the end of lap number 2 comes Alan Day. Fight for second and third is starting to rage. Mark Goosens had a bit of a gap between himself and Giorgio Maggi at the start of the lap. The gap between the pair of them was 1.2 seconds. Well, this time through, Goosens has got absolutely on his tailpipes, just 0.4 of a second adrift. Giorgio Maggi, who has just set the fastest lap of the race, the Swiss driver in third position, trying to hunt down Mark Goosens. They're heading through shot is Stinus Longines, Francesco Cini and the number 7 machine in the hands of the Czech driver Martin Dubek, who's looking to try and attack if he can as they head up towards the next corner. So everybody's still circulating. I don't think anybody's had any issues on the first couple of laps, which is good to see. Francesco Cini conscious that he needs to try and defend from the number 7 Hendricks Ford that sits behind at the moment. Martin Dubeck racing in EuroNASCAR Pro as well as EuroNASCAR 2 this weekend in the absence of Loris Hazemans, who's regularly behind the wheel of the number 7 car. But Dubeck doing a really good job here of trying to attack, but needs to be conscious. He might need to defend here because Patrick Lamery might have a run on him at the wheel of the number 5 car that sits behind. Let's have a quick look. No, Lamery too far behind. And it's Sebastian Bleekemolen who is still under attack from the number 54 car of Urkeli from the back of the grid. So pure racing going on from top to tail in this field. And all of the time, whilst Alan Day looks to try and just increase his lead advantage. It grew by another 0.4 of a second last time through Alan Day's lead. Out of Boulderbach Bucht and through the little kink at Jochen Rindt as they start to head up towards the conclusion of the lap. Oh, Mark Goossens almost lost second place there. Majid got the nose of his car up the inside, but the number 18 Ford, I think at the last minute, just backed out of it to avoid contact, and that will have slowed the pair of them down. And now it's brought into the mix the 2009 and 2010 champion at the wheel of the number 64 Speedhouse car, that being Luca Lasserre. Had a great run yesterday, the 42-year-old Frenchman. Can he squeeze his way through and pick up a podium place? Well, at the moment he's tucked up behind the leading junior driver that we've got in the field, which is the number 18 car of Giorgio Maggi. Giorgio, a runner-up in the EuroNASCAR 2 category back in 2019. Lost out to Lassie Sorensen on that occasion. Has been a champion in the past. That was in the Formula Avalon series, which was there at China, in China. So that is, by the look of things, the squabble that's going on at the moment. Now, Race Control are telling Giorgio Maggi that he needs to give the place back to Luca Lasserre for some sort of infringement. So he's blended out of the throttle there, tried to minimise the impact of giving that place back. So that was why Luca Lasserre was very easily able to breeze his way past the number 18 car there. So Luca Lasserre gaining a place over Maggi, not because it was a great overtake by Luca Lasserre, not doing him any disservice there, but largely because the radio instruction was give the place back, Giorgio, give the place back, let Luca Lasserre get back through, which is exactly what he has done. Sensible driving, sensible instruction from Race Control and the spotter, just to make sure that you give the place back. There'll then be no penalty, and then you can try and crack on and reassert yourself back into the podium spots. Now, the one thing it does do, it allows Luca Lasserre to try and get a run on Mark Goossens here. Mark, of course, racing at his home NASCAR Grand Prix. Finished on the podium yesterday as well, did the Goose. That was his, not his first visit to the podium of the year, that was his second visit to the podium of the 2021 championship season. But he finished in 3rd place on the road yesterday. Well, he's running in 2nd today. He has had a win round this track in the past. That was back in 2017 when he was racing for Brax Racing in their Ford. He's been racing for the vast majority of this season for DF1, but was given the opportunity to move to Cal this weekend and is returning the opportunity by, at the moment, having his best weekend of racing so far. So the Ford under pressure from the next 2 Fords that sit behind, the first of which is the all-white number 64 of Luca Lasserre, the next of which is the red and white car of the Swiss driver Giorgio Maggi, who still leads the junior category, by the way, in 4th position. So nose to tail through the Villeneuve chicane, up towards Telemann Bocht. They'll thread their way. And Luca Lasserre looking hungry here. Body language of the car just telling you that he wants to try and squeeze his way through, whilst Alan Day is all of the time just pulling away, inching away from these cars behind. Through the little kink at Jochen Rindt, the speeds begin to build again as they shift up through these 4-speed manual engined machines. The 5.7 litre V8 engine producing around about 400 brake horsepower. There is, for this year, for the first time ever, a sequential option available. That's a mechanical sequential. It's not an electronic sequential, but most of the drivers and teams still believe that the 4-speed manual is the way to go, and it's quicker. When they've done back-to-back tests, they are happier with it. So for the moment, most, if not all, of the teams still running the 4-speed manual. There's no traction control, there's no ABS. This is pure racing in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. And well, the fight for 2nd, 3rd and 4th is an absolute belter at the moment. Mark Goossens, Luca Lasserre, Giorgio Maggi. The difficulty is if you try a move and it doesn't work, you're going to get unpicked from the car behind. So you almost need to attack and somehow defend at the same time. Luca Lasser raising the dust as they head out of Lucian Bianchi-Bocht. Now, it looks as though Giorgio Maggi has just been dropped a little bit more now in 4th position. Not by a huge amount, but maybe an extra car length further back is the number 18 Ford in the hands of the former runner-up in EuroNASCAR 2. But he's got the double former champion ahead of him, which is Luca Lasser. Luca Lasser is trying to put the number 56 car of the former Formula Ford Festival winner, Mark Goossens, under pressure. Goossens, whose single-seater career in his younger days took him all the way to Formula 3000. Never quite got to Formula 1, did Mark Goossens, but was hugely, hugely talented. And that was when Formula 3000, which was, I suppose, what you call GP2 nowadays. It was the rung of the ladder below Formula 1. Mark was in a very, very competitive championship back then, and is still arguably one of the quickest. Big spin for Martin Dubeck, lost the tail end of the Hendricks Ford. Don't think there was any contact going into the corner. I think he probably just outbraked himself or dipped a wheel on the grass, and then does another 180-degree spin before he's able to get the car pointing in the right direction. Will rejoin, but with very dusty Hoosier tyres now, I'm afraid. So that will drop Dubeck way down through the order. He was running in 9th position in that number 7 Hendricks Ford. We'll see where he comes over the start-finish line next time through. I think he'll have certainly dropped out of the top 10, maybe even the top 12 now. Have to wait and see as to where Dubeck will be. In fact, he still hasn't come through, and we've now had the top 17 cars come through. So for Martin Dubeck, that's undone a huge chunk of the hard work. Yeah, 18th position as he came over the start-finish line, so he's circulating, but has lost a raft of places. Our race leader, Alan Day, now leading by 3.9 seconds as Luca Lasser again just sort of showing the nose of the car in the mirrors to Mark Goossens to try and see whether there's any opportunity to squeeze his way through and past. Here comes the number 54 Cal Racing Chevy in the hands of Gianmarco Ercoli. Now he's now ahead of Francisco Cini, so that's another place gained on this lap for Ercoli. I said watch out for him. He's now into 8th position off, well, almost the back of the grid following his problems in yesterday's race. Reason he was at the back of the grid was he just didn't really set a lap time. He was the first car to have problems. His fastest lap in the race was the slowest almost, other than another couple of cars sort of lined up behind him on the grid. But yeah, he really did have a difficult race, did Gianmarco Ercoli yesterday. So he was always going to start towards the rear, but as I said at the very top of the programme, was always going to be one to watch out for. And so far, it's been a great, great drive, I've got to say, from the 26-year-old Italian, who is in his last season of being eligible for the junior category. He'll be too old for it next year. So over the start-finish line comes the fight for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Still, twas ever, Mark Goossens, Luca Lasser, Giorgio Maggi, who's the leading junior driver in the number 18 Ford that we've got in the field at this stage. The leading challenger driver, let's pick up on that at the moment. It's his 14th position, which is the number 89 car of Davide De Lara that leads the Challenger Trophy, and he's got about 5 seconds in hand between himself and the number 23 car of Henry Tuamala, who is under pressure for 2nd and 3rd in the Challenger category, because Dario Carzo is absolutely in his wheel tracks, actually. So that's a good fight going on for 15th and 16th place, 2nd and 3rd place in the Challenger category. Out of the cleaner chicane comes this fight for 2nd and 3rd once more, because Luca Lasser got a better run this time on Mark Goossens. He looked to have, but is still not going to try anything as they head in towards the braking area for the Villeneuve chicane. So it's still the Belgian in 2nd place, the Frenchman in 3rd, the Swiss driver Giorgio Maggi not too far away. If they keep squabbling, don't rule out the fact that the Italian Nicola Rocca might be able to close in as well. And all of this is just playing beautifully into the hands of Alon Day now, who is now 4 seconds up the road from what is almost a quartet of cars fighting over now 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and will almost. So we're on lap number 8 to be chalked into the book, so we'll have 10 laps to go. Remember, it's an 18-lap race, 75 kilometres for the EuroNASCAR Pro drivers, and look at the lead advantage. There goes the Monster Energy back number 88 car in the hands of the reigning champion Alan Day, and look at the amount of daylight that exists between himself and the 4 cars that sit behind. 5th still being disputed as well, that's Vittorio Garelli, the Hendricks number 50 Ford in the hands of the Italian, under pressure from yesterday's race winner Stinis Longines, who ran wide at the first corner, dropped himself down through the order and is now struggling to pick any cars off, I'm afraid. So great return for Stinis. It'd be great to see himself and maybe PK Carsport back in the championship next year. Have to wait and see. That's why you need to stay in contact with us over the off-season, because all of the news releases will be available on EuroNASCAR.com. And if you follow us on the social media channels, you'll pick up on all of those news releases as announcements are made during the closed season. And announcements are also made, of course, on the run into Vallelunga in 3 weeks' time, our championship finals, the double points finals, where we'll be crowning our champions for this year. So Garelli still hanging on to 6th place. Longines not that far behind still, but not close enough to really try and attack, I don't think, this time. We've still got Mark Goossens in 2nd place, Leclerc in 3rd. Maggie's been dropped a bit more now in 4th place, so the number 18 Ford dropping away from the 2 ahead and falling ever more into the clutches of Nicola Rocca, who gets actually a very good run on him this time, heading out of Boulderback Booked. So let's just have a look. Can the DF1 Racing number 22 Chevy go through? No, not at the Jackie chicane. He's just simply too far away still. So Alan Day stretching the lead, stretching the advantage, lap after lap after lap. He extends the lead by another 1/10 of a second almost that time through. So it's above 4 seconds now from himself back to the number 56 Cal Racing machine in the hands of Mark Goossens, whilst Leclerc runs a little bit wide coming out of Erst, turn 1 in 3rd place. Picks up some dusty Hoosier tyres for a split second. Need to just clean those off through the next corner, and then he'd be back to full attack mode, I'm sure, the Frenchman. So they'll be heading back down the straight again and in towards the braking area for the cleaner chicane. Alan Day, who's had real mixed fortunes so far this season, looking good for potentially a win here. He has already had a couple of wins so far this year, has Alan Day. Brands Hatch in the first of the 2 races there, and Most in the Czech Republic. He claimed a win there. If he hangs on to the lead that he's got, that would be win number 3 of the season so far. And if Mark Goossens hangs on to 2nd place, that would be his best result of the season so far. But there's still a long, long way to go in this one. We are on lap number 10 of the scheduled 18. So up towards us comes 2nd and 3rd, 4th and 5th, Giorgio Maggi and Nicola Rocca. And now this is the battle for 6th and 7th place. There's no respite at all for Vittorio Garelli. Looks in his mirrors, and all he can see is the number 11 PK Car Sport car of Belgian driver Stinus Longines at his home NASCAR Grand Prix. And of course yesterday's race winner sitting right behind him. Alan Day's got very little in his mirrors other than a distant yellow dot of Mark Goossens, because the Goose is now 4 seconds adrift. Did lap a little bit quicker than the race leader that time through. Mark Goossens setting his best individual lap of the race, but the gap is still as good as 4 seconds, 3.995 seconds to the nearest 1,000th. And we've just had fastest lap of the race popped in by the charging Gianmarco Ercoli. There's no let-up at all for Ercoli. He's fired up for this one after the problems of yesterday. The number 54 Cal Racing car, 1 minute 37.683 from Gianmarco Ercoli, up from what was it, 19th position on the grid to now running 8th on the road and setting the fastest lap. And he's also 2nd of the junior drivers we've got in the field now as well. So it's been a good old drive for him, which surely I would imagine would net him the extra 4 championship points when the totting up is done at the end of this race. Those 4 points, of course, coming for the driver that gains the most places from their starting position compared to their finishing position. Mark Goossens, for the first time, has a little bit of daylight between himself and Luca Leclerc. Luca Leclerc still with a larger amount of daylight between himself and the white and yellow number 18 Ford that sits behind. So it's Chevy from Ford, from Chevy at the moment, the top 5 positions. And then in 6th place, it will be another Ford, another Chevy in 7th place, another Chevy in 8th place and in 9th place. And in 10th place, that will be the number 5 car, which is the EuroNASCAR Team FJ car as its badge, which is Patrick Lamery. So that gives you the manufacturer order in terms of the nationalities, which is always good to touch on. It's an Israeli that leads, a Belgian driver 2nd, a French driver 3rd, an Austrian 4th, then Italians 5th and 6th, another Belgian in 7th, another couple of Italians in 8th and 9th, and it's another Frenchman that's there in 10th place. The leading driver from the Netherlands will be Sebastian Bleekemolen, who's in 11th position at this stage. And our leading Scandinavian, as I look through the order, is going to be Henry Tuomala. But of course, we also have drivers from the Czech Republic and the Ukraine all represented on the grid. So as ever, huge amounts of variance in the nationality, which is always nice to see in the NASCAR Winning Euro Series, and to be fair, has been the case season after season after season. Now, this is another fight that we just saw there. They're heading through shot has just gone Bleaky Mola. Just having a quick look for who the challenger leader is. Here he is now. There we go. So there is Davide Dallara. That will be the leading driver for the Challenger Trophy at the moment. 14th position overall for Davide Dallara at the wheel of the number 89. Not only motorsport machine, he was the Challenger champion back in 2020, was Davide Dallara. He will look to try and close the gap on the likes of Henry Tuomala and Yevgen Sokolovsky in terms of the point scoring in the Challenger Championship, because they were so close. I mentioned earlier on that Henry Tuomala took over the lead of the Challenger category yesterday from Yevgen Sokolovsky. There's only 3 points difference between the pair of them coming into this race. Sorry, there's only 8 points difference between them coming into this race, but only 3 points off that is Davide Dallara. So the top three in the Challenger Trophy for amateur drivers racing in EuroNASCAR. There's only 11 points separating the top three. Huge amounts still up for grabs in this race, yet alone when we get to Vallelunga for the finals. So Maggi's having to stick his elbows out a bit more now. The number 18, Hendrix Ford, perhaps just struggling a little bit now, maybe as the tyres have been overworked in both qualifying and the race. They have to really manage their tyres over the course of the weekend. So limited on the drivers onto the amount of tyres they can have, and maybe Nicola Rocca has just got the better car underneath him at this stage. So number 18, Hendrix Ford, fights away with number 22, DF1 Racing Chevy. Switzerland against Italy. And nose to tail, they continue to run as they head in towards the braking area for the cleaner chicane. Nicola Rocca wants to get on with it because he can see in his mirrors all of the time the number 50 Hendrix Ford and Vittorio Garelli is starting to close in now as well. So getting very close for what will be 4th, 5th and 6th place as the black number 50 car comes through, and Giorgio Maggi makes a mistake, has to go through the gravel trap at the field nose chicane. Through goes Rocca, through goes Garelli. 2 places lost for Giorgio Maggi, and he might now get picked off by Stinis Longines as well, because he's going to have gravel on his tyres. He needs to clean those up, and is back book. We've no good recovery from Giorgio Maggi. Just loses the 2 places, could have been a 3rd. Stinis Longines still bottled up behind him at this stage. So over the start-finish line has already gone at Alon Day. The gap back to this number 56 car of Mark Goossens is now 4.4 seconds. Luca Lasser is a further 0.8 back from that. Up to 4th comes Nicola Rocca, up to 5th Vittorio Garelli, down to 6th number 18 Giorgio Maggi. Stinis Longines now queuing up behind Maggi as well, and starting to close in on Stinis Longines is also the number 54 car of Gianmarco Ercoli, who just briefly locked a brake there heading up towards what was Sterovac booked. So watch out for number 54, the yellow and black car to the background of the shot. Maybe Ercoli's progress through this field is not done as yet. We are on lap number 14 of the scheduled 18. We do have the facility, should we go full course caution late on in the race, we do have the facility in the regulations for an overtime finish, but only one chance of an overtime finish. We've not needed it really so far, I don't think, all season. But yeah, I think Ercoli is quicker than anybody out there at the moment. He's already got the fastest lap of the race, and just look how much he's caught up onto the coattails of the Chevy of Stinis Longines, yesterday's race winner, that lies ahead. So for Ercoli, maybe just having done so fewer laps yesterday, he only did 6 laps yesterday, did Gianmarco Ercoli, of the 18 that were scheduled, so his tyres have arguably got 12 laps more life in it than most other people that he's now catching up to. And if he's looked after them and cuddled them a bit in the early stages of the race, that will pay dividends later on, and even more so, as I've mentioned a few times this weekend, warm conditions here this weekend, even more critical to look after those tyres. Don't overwork them too much, and then they'll hang on for the end of the weekend. Jose Belda, a fantastic tyre, don't get me wrong, but if you overwork them, you will end up struggling towards the end of a race weekend, because the tyres are so limited. You've got to look after them, and maybe that's why Ercoli now is doing a grand job of closing up onto the coattails of Stinis Longines, whilst we have waved yellow flags at Erst turn number 1, because somebody has had a problem. So in the battle for 7th and 8th place, there goes Giorgio Maggi. It's really released him away, hasn't it, from what is the squabble that's going on behind. So So there goes Stinis Longines, who's dropped a long way back behind Giorgio Maggi now. Alan Day still leading by just over 4 seconds from Mark Goossens, who's got nearly a full second between himself and Luca Lasser, but this is one of the good fights at the moment. 7th and 8th places. If Ercole can unlock the door and get past Stinis Longines, then the fight could be on for who's going to get top honours in the junior trophy, because Giorgio Maggi, the number 18 car, just ahead of this 11 car, leads the junior category, and Gianmarco Ercole in the 54 is second in the junior category, so he really needs to get past the car of Stinis Longines, and then we could get the battle forward for who is going to stand on the top step of the podium for those junior drivers, those aged under 25 at the start of the season. The first job for Ercole is clear the number 11 and then close up on the next car ahead. So they are on lap number 15 currently. That is going to be completed very shortly by our race leader Alan Day, who is looking ever more on course for career win number 27 in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. That would put him 5 wins clear of anybody else. And Lasser attacking for second place up the inside of Mark Goossens, who braves it out, heading round through Urs. But that was a real attempt from Luca Lasser to try and hoist himself up into second place, which was where he finished in yesterday's race. Mark Goossens, though, having none of it at his home NASCAR Grand Prix, whilst he is also in a season's best position of second place. He's had thirds, he doesn't want those, he wants a second place trophy if he can, and that is the trophy that Luca Lasser walked away with in yesterday's race. So the fight is back on for second and third position, and again Luca Lasser looking to try and do anything, but he's not going to outbrake him this time, at least in towards the cleaner chicane. Bounces over the curves to try and get a better run as they head up Sacrament Schelling and in towards the braking area for the Villeneuve chicane, but at the moment it is still just about the number 56 car of Mark Goossens, who loses it on the brakes, has to go through the Villeneuve chicane. Luca Lasser couldn't get it anchored up either, so he has to take to the gravel as well. They both continue in the same position that they were in, but that is just pure racing. They're pushing each other so hard. They both, despite all of their experience, still managed to make a small mistake, but equally as much have the reactions to be able to gather it up. So it's still the 51-year-old Belgian Mark Goossens that sits there in second position. And well, for Luca Lasser, who's early 40s now, 42 years of age, the champion from 2009 and 2010 in this series, he's got to try and see whether he can reel back in the goose again over the course of the next, lap and a bit now, really, because 16 laps completed. Alan Day is on to lap number 17 now, so the lap is on, and one more thereafter between Alan Day and career win number 27. Who's going to finish in second place, though, is still up for dispute after the gravelly moment. Mark Goossens probably has a larger gap now between himself and Luca Lasser. The 22 Chevy of Nicola Rocca still sitting in 4th place from Vittorio Garelli in 5th. The leading junior driver is still in 6th place, which is Giorgio Maggi, and he's still got that buffer also between himself and the car that is second in the junior category, because Stinis Longines is between Maggi and Ercole at the moment, and that's the way, ideally, Maggi would like it to be. And the leading challenger driver, still number 89 in 15th place, Davide Dallara at the moment, comfortably leading the challenger trophy. So back over at Sacrament Schelling, in towards the braking area for the Villeneuve chicane. Luca Lasser managing to close up ever more. Now there's a bit of traffic just up the road. That will be Nicola Gobossi that they'll need to try and work their way through and past. Driver who's been racing in the Club Challenge in 2021 and is going to stay well and truly out of harm's way. So sensible driving from the 27-year-old Italian there. Just gets out of harm's way, allows speed. So sensible driving, don't want to get involved. And for Luca Lasser, that is another opportunity that he was hoping to be able to capitalise on. He was hoping, I'm sure, that Mark Goossens would maybe get caught up behind the traffic, and that would allow him to maybe have an opportunity to take the place away, but wasn't to be. Alan Day is now onto his last lap of the race, lap number 18, still with this great fight going on between two of the hugely experienced drivers that we've got in the field. The 2009-2010 champion, Luca Lasser, fighting away with Mark Goossens, who, as we say, has got just colossal amounts of experience, whether it be sports cars, and when we say sports cars, that could be Le Mans, It could be the Rolex 24-hour, having raced in Formula 3000, Formula 3, Formula Ford. He was a former Formula Ford Festival winner. He's having to stick his elbows out to try and hang on to second place. There's more traffic up the road that could need dealing with as well before too much longer. And hopefully that will stay out of harm's way. Yes, it will. That is Federico Monti, who stays well and truly out of harm's way. White flags just waving to indicate to the cars passing that there's a slow vehicle on track, but that is another opportunity that's eluded Luca Lasser to try and squeeze his way through into second. It's been good driving from both of them. It's been fair driving from both of them. It's been pure racing from both of them, but somebody is going to be happier than the other, and it looks as though Goossens at the moment could be on course for his best result of the season in his first weekend of racing for Cal, having moved over, being given the opportunity to pick up the seat in the Cal Racing Machine for this weekend. But it is going to be a win and a 26th career win for Alan Day in what has been a topsy-turvy season really for the reigning champion. He's had some great weekends, he's had too many poor weekends this year, but it's a good one again. He'll be pleased with maximum points. Second in the end to Mark Goossens, who finishes in second place. That will go down well with the local crowd. Luca Lasser finishes in third place. Nicola Rocca comes through in fourth, ahead of Vittorio Garelli in fifth, and the leading junior driver, Giorgio Maggi, will take sixth place. It was still close for seventh and eighth in the end, but Stinis Longji just hangs on to seventh from Gianmarco Ercoli, who finishes in eighth place. Francisco Sidi will come through to finish in ninth place. Sebastian Bleeky-Molen completes the top 10, and then we should see Ulysse Delso and Leonardo Colavita finishing 12th and 13th places respectively. Yes, they do. In fact, Ulysse Delso and Martin Dubec, who managed to get himself ahead of Leonardo Colavita. So Dubec finishes in 12th place, Colavita 13th. And the leading challenger driver will finish in 14th position, which is going to be Davide Dallara, who, as I say, had quite a substantive lead, really, in the challenger category in that race. So the cars making their way back round towards the victory lane area, where the podium presentations will take place in probably around about 5 minutes time. We will certainly get some reaction from our race leader, a race winner. We will try and bring you all of the podiums as well, but that was in the end a fairly easy race for Alan Day. I'm sure he will say it wasn't easy because he would have been pushing, but for Alan Day, that's exactly what he needs again. And what has been a tough old season for the 3 times champion, the reigning champion, that is only win number 3 of the season. He came into this weekend lying 6th in the championship standings. After yesterday's performance and problems, he dropped down to 8th in the championship standings, and it was only because the car had those problems that he could bring it into the pit lane, get it sorted with a new tyre on it, and then charge and really have to push to set a fast lap, because fastest lap in Saturday's race gives you grid for Sunday's race. And because he set the fastest lap, he started from pole and was able to turn that weekend around. So he will be delighted with that. The man from Ashdod in Israel, he claimed his first career win in EuroNASCAR back in 2015, and I think that was probably here at Circuit Zolder as well, because it would have been September time 2015. He has now added another victory to it, making it now 27 career wins, and that moves him 5 wins clear in the all-time winners list of anybody else. And second in that all-time winners list is Alan de Villarino, who has got 22 career wins. So as he heads towards victory lane, that is now 7 career wins at Zolder alone for Alan Day. That is more wins at any one single circuit than any other driver. Alan Day's had 6 wins at Valencia, Circuit Ricardo Tormo, but now he's made it 7 here at Zolder. So he keeps just adding to those statistics and keeps breaking the records. So let me just confirm the results for you. The win goes the way of Alan Day, with Mark Goossens in 2nd place and Luca Lasser completing the podium in 3rd. Nicola Rocca was 4th, ahead of Vittorio Garelli in 5th place, and in 6th place, the winner of the junior category was Giorgio Maggi. 7th place was Stinis Longji. 8th place was the second of the junior drivers home, Gianmarco Ercoli, with Francesco Sini and Sebastian Bleeky-Molen completing the top 10. Just outside of the top 10 in 11th place, Ulysse Delso, who will complete the junior category podium, ahead of Martin Dubec Beck in 12th place and Leonardo Colavita in 13th. Davide De Lara was the leading Challenger driver home in 14th place. 15th was the second of the Challenger drivers home, Dario Carzo. And 16th is the driver that will complete the Challenger podium, Yevgen Sokolovsky. Henry Tuomala was 17th. Problems late on for Patrick Lamery, who finished a couple of laps off the lead. And then our final two finishers, Nicola Gabosi and Federico Monti. So out of the number 88 Cal Racing machine will jump Alan Day. He will be absolutely delighted with that. Does it put his championship aspirations on track? He will be the only driver that will know as to whether that puts his championship aspirations back on track. He was 57 points off the lead coming into this race. Remember, the drivers will drop now their two worst championship scores, which for Alan Day will be quite small scores he's dropping in reality, so it might just move him that little bit closer to some of the drivers that he's looking to try and do battle with. I'm sure he'll probably know that the chance for him to win the championship means he's going to have to drive the wheels off that number 88 car at Vallelunga and hope for misfortune for other drivers. But whilst mathematically it's possible, as a racing driver, you keep pushing. So big smile on his face, Alan Day. He was disappointed, not for the first time this season, with what happened in yesterday's race, but he is back to victory lane for the 7th time at Zolder, for the 3rd time this season, and for the 27th time in his EuroNASCAR career. He will be as pleased as punch with that. Looks as though he's hardly broken a sweat as well in that race, which he did secure victory for in the end by 4.6 seconds from Mark Goosens, who, let's hats off to Mark, has had his best result of the season in 2nd place at his home NASCAR Grand Prix. And well done to Luca Lasser as well, his best weekend of racing for Luca Lasser at the wheel of the Speedhouse car, who again has had a difficult season, but so far he has had 2 visits to the podium this season, and both of those have come this weekend for Luca Lasser, so his best weekend of racing so far as well. So the drivers down there in victory lane, Alan Day out of the car, and hopefully we can hand down there and bring you an interview. So we'll just hang on for a moment, just try to tee up our interview with Alan Day, who is looking fairly relaxed on the side of the car, and as I say, hardly looks as though he's broken a sweat really, but he'll be as pleased as anybody with that one. You can see he's just, I think, awaiting everything to be in place, and then we can grab a quick word with our race winner, who will be down there with Andre. Quick drink as well, just being taken by the Monster Energy backed athlete, and I think Andre is on hand, so let's hand you down there to victory lane and our winner.
7th career in here at Circuit Zolder, and what a dominant one. How are you feeling?
Wow. Yeah, kind of redemption after such a bad weekend. Starting with the qualifying and what happened yesterday, I really want to try to forget yesterday. The team did an amazing job, car racing team. The Monster Energy car was just extremely fast. I also had some luck. I don't know what happened to Stines, but I knew that if we will survive turn 1 together, I will have to push the whole race. And yeah, I don't know what happened to him, but after turn 1, it was kind of a relaxing race for me. Just trying to survive and make sure that everything will survive. And thanks again to the team. And yeah, hopefully Vallelunga will be the same.
You can drop 2 results, the 2 worst results of the season, and going into the Vallelunga finals. What are your thoughts about that? Do you still have a...
Yeah, it's also 1-2 to the team, 1st and 2nd.
So what are your thoughts about Vallelunga after dropping your 2 worst results? Do you think you still have any chance?
After what happened yesterday, I said I'm not thinking about the championship. I'm not even looking at the standing. I will focus race by race, try to win each race, try to focus and put the work on each race and not looking about the whole picture. And we will see after the 2nd race in Vallelunga.
All right, thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you.
There we go, smile on his face, Alan Day, and that was the answer that I probably would have expected, and it's the right one to give. What will be, by looking at the point standings, all you do potentially is put more pressure on your shoulders, and Alan Day has been in a position where he has been in a comfortable position for the championship and then has maybe had a bit of bad luck go his way, and he's managed to turn it round on other occasions. For instance, in 2019, he wasn't able to turn it round, and Loris Hazemans became our champion. So, yeah, race by race, that's probably the right way to approach it. What will be, what will be. He can only drive his race when we get to Vallelunga. And as he just said, you know, if Stinus Longines had have been in that race, they'd have been fighting away for the lead. Stinus is only here for this weekend, but he could be in a similar position at Vallelunga, fighting away with Loris Hazemans. And if one of them has a bit of bad luck, it potentially massively just swings, particularly at the double points paying finals weekend in 3 weeks' time. It could really, really affect it. We'll hand you back downstairs for another interview with Andre.
I'm here with Mark Goossens, a 1-2 finish for Carl Racing, and you had a tremendous race with Luca Lasser battling for second place. Just talk us through the race.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but in the first 2 laps I had a big issue on the braking. That's where Alan made the gap. I was okay with that, but obviously I saw, I think, Maggi in the beginning getting closer. I had a very, very big moment at the hairpin, almost went off. I think maybe in the lead 2 they changed the brake bias. So it took me a couple of laps to get it back into place, and then from then on it was only about controlling, but still struggling with the brakes. And then a couple of laps from the end, I think Lucas made a little mistake behind me, out-braking me. And you know, so there was some contact where I went straight through the gravel. But you know, and good, all good. I'm so happy to be back with Carl and to get all the support that I get from the people here in Belgium. It's amazing. So thank you to you guys too for putting on such a great show for me.
Thank you so much. We have to go straight to Luca Lasser. Luca, just a quick question about the battle with Mark Goossens. How was it for you?
Yeah, I have a big respect to Mark. You know, Mark did a lot of an amazing career. When I was young, I live in Po, and Mark won the Formula 3000 in Po. So it was for me like this. So no, it was it's a pure racer. That's all. So I had a problem with my brake, so my brake pedal touch was totally flat out. So I locked my reel. I touched him. I stayed behind. Said, okay, you had a lot of tight battle with Mark, and Mark knows that it will be always fair. So I'm okay to have 2 podiums. For my team, it's an amazing weekend just before the final. So now I need just to check the overall championship and prepare Vallelunga as strong as possible.
All right, thank you so much. You have to go to the podium now. Thank you.
There we go, wonderful, and so pleased. Thank you, Andre and the team down there, for making sure that we chatted to all of the drivers in the top 3, to Alan Day, to Mark Goossens, who got a soaking from Luca Lasser, and to Luca Lasser as well, and the mutual respect of the two of them was absolutely evident there, and nice to hear that, you know, they both had their own individual problems in that race, and there were apologies for a little touch here and there, but as Luca said, that's pure racing. You know, there's no other words. That was just pure racing between the two of them, and yeah, what a great weekend for Luca Lasser, and really chuffed also for Mark Goossens with what is his best result of the season so far, and his best weekend of racing. So both Luca Lasser and Mark Goossens having their best weekends of racing, and unfortunately for Alan Day, the race winner, yeah, that mixed fortune that he's just had this year, you know, it's happened to him all season really. What, 5th and outside of the top 10 in Valencia, a win and outside of the top 10 in the UK, a win and outside of the top 10 in Most, and then we got to Grobnik, and it was a 5th and a 3rd, so arguably his best weekend of racing. And then yesterday, again, it was what, 17th, and a win today. So it's been one of those strange seasons for Alan Day, where he's never really had the consistency that you expect with Alan Day. It's just not happened, and sometimes it's been incidents on track, sometimes it's been car, sometimes it's maybe been him just trying to make up for the fact that he's had a bad season. Maybe he's pushed and that's caused him a problem. So it's just unfortunate, but it's amazing that he's still at the sharp end of this championship, even though he's had such enormous mixed fortunes. But yeah, as he said, see what happens at Vallelunga, see what the points look like at the end of the season, and if he's a 4 times champion, that would be more titles than anybody, but that is going to be mathematically, I think, quite tough for Alan Day to overhaul those that are ahead of him in the championship standings heading towards Vallelunga. But whilst mathematically it's possible, it's always possible. It's as simple as that. So the podium is being readied in advance of what will be our 3 separate podiums that we will have, the top 3 overall. Then we'll have our Challenger and our Junior podiums as well. So we will get the top 3 drivers onto the podium, and finishing in 3rd position, Luca Lasser in round 10 of the 2021 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series here at Circuit Zolder. Finishing in 2nd position in the EuroNASCAR Pro Division. There'll be a big cheer going up for his home NASCAR Grand Prix. It is Mark Goosens, and you can still see the respect between the two of them. Mark bringing either young fans or family up onto the podium as well. So he finishes in 2nd place. And the top step of the podium, 7 wins at Zolder, 27 in his career. It is Alon Day that claims the final victory here at Circuit Zolder. We will also have the team representative heading up onto the podium, representing Cal Racing. We'll see as to who it might be that heads up there. Is it going to be Luca Caniore? Might it be Stefano Gustavaye? And now it's time for the national anthem of the winning driver. So there we go, the Israeli national anthem for Alon Day. Now we will see the trophies presented to our top 3 drivers in round 10 of the 2021 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. First of all, our 3rd place driver, Luca Lasser, will receive his trophy. So there we go. Luca Lasser receives the 3rd place trophy, his 2nd podium visit of the weekend, and his best weekend of the season so far. Mark Goosens back on the podium again, his best weekend of racing so far, his first weekend with Cal. He finishes in 2nd position. And the winner's trophy goes the way of Alon Day, the reigning champion, with his 27th career win in EuroNASCAR. So with the drivers on the podium, it will be time for the trophy presentation to the team member representing Cal Racing. And then once all the trophies have been distributed, there'll be photographs on the top step of the podium with our top 3 drivers and, of course, our Cal team representative. And then once all of the photographs have taken, it is Luca Caniore that's made it up onto the podium by the look of things. And then we will make merry with the champagne on the EuroNASCAR Pro podium. So the champagne is about to fly. I think the driver's just making sure that everybody is off the podium who doesn't want soaking. And then once they've had a quick conversation about what they're doing, the poor old young supporters there with Mark Goosens might end up slightly wetter than they expected at the end of this podium celebration. But the top 3, I think, hopefully will be just respectful and make sure that the children go home dry. But enjoy the celebrations and the opportunity to stand there on the podium. So yeah, good respect from all of them. Luca Lasser into the crowd, soaking the Cal Racing, soaking the Speedhouse Racing team. Gets a soaking himself from Alon Day, but big smiles all round on our podium here at Circuit Zolder. And with the first podium having been done and dusted, the next presentation that we should be making, we'll see the onto the top step of the podium. We should then see the DJ Fastest Driver of the Weekend Award. Now that will be a beautiful TJ titanium ring, scheduled to be presented by Marco Raggi. And that will be the next podium presentation we would have. We would usually present the new leader of the championship, but that is going to go the way of Loris Hazemans. But of course, Loris isn't here this weekend, is not competing here because he's been competing in the Xfinity race over in Charlotte on the Roval. So it should be the TJ Fastest Driver Award of the event, going the way of the number 64 Speedhouse Ford of 2009-2010 champion, which will be Luca Lasser. And then we will also have our Best Team Award as well to present, before we then turn our attentions to the Junior Trophy Podium and the Challenger Trophy Podium.
Before our last meeting at Whelen, he will race there with the red windscreen banner highlighted by Whelen. Engineering, Loris Hazemans, of course, will be back for the season finale. Then next up is the TJ Fastest Driver.
I think the local commentator just making the same comment as I made, that we would usually have the leader of the championship being presented the red windscreen banner, but on the basis Loris Hazemans is not here, we forego that presentation this time through and instead move very quickly on to the TJ Fastest Driver of the event award, and up onto the podium to receive the fantastic titanium ring presented by Marco Raggi. We do thank TJ for their continued support of this, and this is the first time that a titanium ring has been awarded to Luca Lasser. I think Alan Day's got 5 of them now. I think Loris Hazemans has got a couple. Stinus Longines has got one. Ander Villarino, Lassie Sorensen and Gianmarco Ercoli, I think, have all got them. But that's the first one that goes the way of Luca Lasser. And TJ also provides not just this award, but also provide the fantastic championship trophy as well that is awarded at the end of season gala dinner. So Luca Lasser looks as pleased as punch with that, and rightly so. That is a wonderful gesture, and we continue to thank TJ and Whelen and Kenol and Hoosier for all of their continued support, and all the rest of our partners as well. Without them, we simply could not do what we do. So with that presentation done and dusted, the next presentation should be the best team, and we will just await confirmation that that is going to be the case before we then move on with our final 2 podium presentations for the Junior Trophy. And as we then say, for the Challenger Trophy, the Junior Trophy will be for those pro drivers that are up to 25 years of age at the beginning of the season, up to and including. And the Challenger Trophy is for EuroNASCAR pro amateur drivers that race in the professional division. So gentlemen drivers that race at the top flight.
Next up is the Junior Trophy for EuroNASCAR pro drivers.
So we're going on to Junior Trophy next. So Hendricks are the team of the weekend, the number 50 car leading the team's championship, but I don't think we're going to see that podium presentation take place. So we are moving on to the Junior Trophy, and up onto the podium in 3rd place, it's Ulysse Delceau that finishes in 3rd place in the Junior Trophy. 2nd place that goes the way of Gianmarco Ercoli, and the leading junior driver home is Giorgio Maggi for Hendricks Motorsport. So that is 3 different teams, 3 different nationalities represented on the podium, and all 3 of those drivers, just going to show what a good breeding ground EuroNASCAR 2 is in. All 3 of those drivers have come out of the EuroNASCAR 2 championship. 2 of them as former champions, but the man on the top step of the podium, Giorgio Maggi, didn't ever quite claim the championship. He finished runner-up, but Ulysse Delceau and Gianmarco Ercoli are former champions in EuroNASCAR 2. So Delceau receives his trophy, Gianmarco Ercoli receives his, and the winner's trophy in the junior category going the way of the Swiss driver for Hendricks Motorsport, Giorgio Maggi, who had a great race, didn't he? Fighting away with Stinus Longines to try and make sure he'd always got that car behind him as the buffer between himself and Gianmarco Ercoli. So they all shuffle up onto the top step of the podium. Gianmarco Ercoli, I think, is in the last year where he's eligible for this trophy, whereas for the likes of Ulysse Delceau and Giorgio Maggi, they've still got at least 1 more season where they'll be classified as junior drivers. So they leave the podium. And then our final podium presentations before we bring this fantastic weekend to a close here at Circuit Zolder, and look forward to the playoffs in Italy in just 3 weekends' time. Our final presentation will be for the Challenger Trophy, which, again, just to confirm, that is for amateur drivers. So you've got to be either silver or bronze graded that race in EuroNASCAR Pro. And we should see, heading up onto the podium in third position. He's been a busy driver, has he, this weekend, Yevgen Sokolovsky, because he races, as he has done all season, in EuroNASCAR 1 and EuroNASCAR 2. But he's also been competing this weekend in the Belcar Endurance Series, which had a 3-hour race just prior to this one. So Yevgen Sokolovsky will be feeling shattered. All right, no, we're doing teams next. OK, so this is Hendricks Motorsport. We are doing the teams award for the team that are leading the EuroNASCAR teams standings as we head in towards the final race of the weekend. So it's the crew from the number 50 Hendricks Ford. That's the car that in that race was driven by Vittorio Garelli. And when you see it out in EuroNASCAR 2, it is Tobias Dauenhauer that drives the number 50 car. Add the points from the two drivers together, that gives us the team's championship. So it's the car scoring points in both divisions, whoever is driving it, that gives us the team's championship. So they're busy having their own little squabble on the podium, so we'll leave them to that. That podium, in theory, should have taken place before our junior trophy podium, but I think the team weren't quite ready, so we've slotted it in afterwards, hence my confusion thinking it wouldn't happen. But we've got there, we've ticked that one off, which now means we've just got one further one to tick off, and that should be dealt with very quickly. The podium redressed, and we will introduce out our final three drivers onto the podium, which, as I say, includes Yevgen, who has had a busy old weekend. So in third position onto the podium, Yevgen Sokolovsky finishes in third place in the Challenger Trophy on a busy old weekend of racing for him. He's had 4 NASCAR races. He's had a 3-hour sports car race as well. Dario Carzo heads up onto the second step of the podium. Always smiling is Dario. And the top step of the podium, Davide Dallara. And as I said, the championship standings in the Challenger Trophy, so close going into that race, so close as we head into the final. So trophies are handed out to Yevgen Sokolovsky, to Dario Carzo, and to Davide Dallara, with the shades on and a big old smile on the Italian's face. And as they all gather up onto the top step of the podium, that is our final podium presentations done here from Circuit Zolder, and what has been a great end to the regular season in the 2021 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Remember, we've still got some further racing to come. That will be our finals weekend, the double points finals weekend that take place on the 30th and 31st of October at Autodromo di Vallelunga for the NASCAR Grand Prix of Italy, the American Festival of Rome, as it has been badged. So don't forget, tune in on that one for us. You can either watch the footage on EuroNASCAR.com, you can head on to our YouTube channel and subscribe there as well, or pick it up the stream via Facebook.com/EuroNASCAR. And why not give us a like on Facebook as well? The NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, or if it's Twitter or Instagram, at EuroNASCAR is where you can pick up on all of our social media content. And in a few days' time, if not even later on this evening, you'll be able to pick up on full replays of all of the races over the weekend and the highlights programs as well. So EuroNASCAR.com is the place to go. So from everybody, I hope you've enjoyed our last races of the regular season in the 2021 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. But join us in 3 weeks' time, the 30th and 31st of October, when we do it all again and crown our champions at Vallelunga. From everybody and myself, Mark Whelen, until then, goodbye.